Have you ever wondered what the world looks like when every shadow hides a coded message and every handshake holds a threat? The Cold War was not just a struggle of nations, but a silent battlefield of spies, double agents, and vanished truths. Some films captured that paranoia so accurately that real ex-operatives still nod in respect. These are the stories built on danger censorship and secrets buried under frost. Prepare to step into a world where nothing is what it seems. Number 15. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965. This film earned a reputation as one of the most brutally honest depictions of espionage ever put on screen. It did not glorify agents or gadgets. Instead, it revealed a world of exhaustion, betrayal, and moral fog. Audiences expecting glamour were stunned. Those who understood real intelligence work saw truth in every cold stare and every bleak decision. The story follows a British agent named Alec Leamas stationed at the Berlin Wall. When his network collapses, he is offered one final mission. He must pose as a disgraced man and allow himself to be recruited by the enemy. What unfolds is a psychological descent as every ally becomes suspect, and every victory feels poisoned. The film moves slowly like a confession whispered through iron bars. Nothing is clean. Nothing is heroic. The controversy came quickly. Some governments disliked its portrayal of Western agencies as morally compromised. There were rumors that certain scenes mirrored real operations. Studio executives panicked, fearing political backlash. At one point, debate rose over whether the film should even be released in some regions. Critics were divided. Some called it too bleak. Others hailed it as a masterpiece. The cast and crew spoke of endless tension during production as they tried to honor a dangerously realistic script. Its legacy only grew. Real former agents later admitted that the film captured the true emotional weight of espionage better than almost any other. The story lingers like frost on glass, reminding us that truth in the spy world is always paid for in silence. Number 14. The Conversation, 1974. This film slowly built a reputation as one of the most haunting explorations of surveillance ever crafted. It did not rely on chases or gunfire. Instead, it focused on sound paranoia and the quiet dread of being watched. Ex-agents praised its attention to detail, especially its depiction of listening technology and the psychological toll of monitoring strangers. The story centers on Harry Call, a surveillance expert who records a conversation in a busy plaza. It seems routine at first, but when he plays back the tapes, he hears something troubling that pulls him into a spiral of fear and guilt. Every sound becomes a clue, every silence a threat. Harry begins to doubt everyone around him, and eventually even himself. The film turns his craft into a prison built from audio reels and whispered phrases. When the film was released, some groups claimed it reflected real scandals that had not yet been fully exposed. A few organizations reportedly questioned how certain technical details were shown with such accuracy. Rumors spread that intelligence professionals had been consulted in secret. Production was tense as director Francis Ford Coppola pushed for accuracy. Actors described the atmosphere as heavy, like every scene carried a hidden message. The film resurfaced in later decades, gaining new relevance during debates about privacy and government monitoring. Real former operatives praised its realism, noting how it depicted not only the mechanics of surveillance, but the loneliness it carves into the human mind. Its final shot became a warning to audiences everywhere that paranoia is not always a symptom. Sometimes it is survival. Number 13. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, 1979. This British television adaptation grew into one of the most respected portrayals of Cold War intelligence. It earned a reputation for slow, deliberate storytelling grounded in realism rather than spectacle. Former agents admired how it showed bureaucratic maneuvering, quiet strategy, and the emotional cost of long-term deception. The story follows George Smiley, a retired agent called back to uncover a mole buried deep inside British intelligence. The narrative unfolds like a locked room puzzle. Every colleague is a suspect. Every memory is a clue. Smiley sorts through layers of lies as old friendships and rivalries resurface. The series captures a world where trust dies first and truth is built from scraps of overheard conversations. Controversy emerged when viewers noticed striking similarities between the fictional mole hunt and events rumored within real intelligence agencies. Some critics claimed the story hit too close to reality. Others accused it of revealing operational methods. A few governments reportedly discouraged broadcasts in certain regions. Behind the scenes, the production struggled with secrecy of its own. Writers and actors were not given full scripts. The set was kept quiet and controlled to preserve tension. Even during filming, crew members spoke of an unnerving sense that they were reenacting something that had actually happened. The series became a cultural landmark. It resurfaced decades later with renewed praise as new audiences discovered its layered storytelling. Ex-agents often cite it as one of the closest depictions of real tradecraft. Its legacy remains one of shadow patience and long-buried truths. Number 12. The Manchurian Candidate, 1962. This film was known as daring, dangerous, and far ahead of its time. It tackled mind control, political manipulation, and the terrifying idea that a soldier could be turned into a weapon without knowing it. Many found the premise shocking. Some found it disturbingly believable. The story follows a decorated American soldier captured during the Korean War. After returning home, he begins to suffer nightmares about strange ceremonies and hidden commands. Slowly, the truth emerges. He and his unit were subjected to psychological experiments by enemy forces. Now he has become a pawn in a larger political plot. The film shifts between hallucination and reality, creating a sense of dread that grows scene by scene. Controversy surrounded the release. Some politicians claimed it stoked public fear. There were whispers that it mirrored covert experiments that had taken place during the era. A few theaters hesitated to screen it. After a national tragedy, the film was even pulled from circulation for years, deepening its mystique. Behind the scenes, tension was high. Cast and crew later spoke about the pressure of handling such explosive subject matter. Studios worried they had gone too far. Its legacy exploded when it resurfaced decades later. Audiences were stunned by how relevant it remained. Real intelligence veterans acknowledged that while dramatized, the film captured the fear of psychological warfare with chilling accuracy. The film endures as a warning that the most dangerous battlefield is sometimes the human mind. Number 11. The Lives of Others, 2006. This film emerged as a powerful modern depiction of Cold War surveillance and ideological control. It earned a reputation for emotional depth and frightening authenticity. Many former agents respected its portrayal of state monitoring and the moral fractures it creates inside those who serve oppressive systems. The story is set in East Berlin, where a loyal Stasi officer named Wiesler is assigned to monitor a playwright suspected of disloyalty. As he listens to the couple through hidden microphones, he slowly begins to doubt the ideology he once defended. Each scene shows the weight of intrusion, the subtle destruction of privacy, and the transformation of a man who realizes he is serving something cruel. Upon release, the film stirred debate. Some former officials criticized its portrayal of the Stasi as too sympathetic toward individuals. Others argued it revealed more historical truth than some governments were comfortable acknowledging. There were whispers that the director had used testimonies from real surveillance officers who had remained silent for decades. Behind the scenes, the production faced pressure to maintain absolute accuracy. Props were rebuilt from original equipment. Locations were chosen to mimic real safe houses. Actors described the atmosphere as suffocating, like living inside a world that watched every breath. The film collected global awards and resurfaced repeatedly in academic discussions about privacy and state power. Ex-agents praised its emotional truth, noting how it captured the corrosive effect of spying on both sides of the wire. Its final moments remind viewers that even in a world of suspicion, one quiet act of humanity can break through the cold. Number 10. The Hunt for Red, October, 1990. This film became famous for its grand, Scale and thrilling tension, yet many intelligence professionals praised it for something far quieter. It respected the mental chess that defines real Cold War operations. Rather than focusing solely on spectacle, it revealed the fragile trust required when nations hover on the brink of disaster. The story follows a Soviet submarine captain who secretly decides to defect by bringing his state-of-the-art submarine toward American waters. Both superpowers panic. Intelligence agencies scramble to interpret his intentions. A young CIA analyst races against time to uncover the truth before a misunderstanding erupts into global conflict. The film unfolds like a deep ocean dream where every movement creates ripples of danger. Silence becomes a weapon. Patience becomes survival. Controversy appeared when some officials questioned how accurately submarine interiors and command structures were depicted. There were rumors that the production had consulted former naval officers whose insights came uncomfortably close to classified operations. Certain scenes raised eyebrows regarding acoustic detection technology, prompting debates about how much the public should see. Behind the scenes, the production struggled with miniature models, sound recording, inside metallic sets, and the challenge of making submarine tension feel authentic. Cast members described the claustrophobic sets as emotionally draining yet essential for realism. Its legacy only grew as real analysts acknowledged that the film captured strategic tension better than most spy dramas. It resurfaced repeatedly after world events reminded viewers how easily a single misunderstanding can shift the balance of power. The story ends with a quiet truth. Even in the darkest depths, hope often arrives not as force, but as understanding. Number 9. The Third Man, 1949. Though set in the aftermath of World War II, this film predicted the paranoia and moral ambiguity of the Cold War with eerie precision. Former agents respected its portrayal of crumbling alliances, shifting loyalties, and the shadow economy that flourishes when war ends, but trust does not. The story follows a writer who arrives in Vienna to visit an old friend named Harry Lime, only to learn that Lime has died under suspicious circumstances. As he investigates, he wanders through a divided city filled with black market deals and hidden tunnels. Every encounter deepens the mystery. The film moves like a ghost story, where the city itself watches every step. When the truth finally emerges, it challenges not only the hero, but the viewer who must question whether justice even exists in a broken world. Controversy surrounded the portrayal of post-war Vienna. Some officials objected to its bleak tone. Others accused it of revealing too much about illegal markets and intelligence activities in the occupied zones. There were whispered claims that the character of Harry Lime was based on real figures who operated between agencies and criminal networks. Behind the scenes, tension brewed between writers, producers, and actors as the ending was debated. Shooting in the sewers caused exhaustion and fear among the crew. The iconic zither score almost did not make it into the final cut until test audiences reacted with unexpected intensity. Its legacy endures. The film resurfaced during Cold War debates as a symbolic warning about the shadows created by divided politics. Former agents often cited it as a rare depiction of how corruption thrives when borders harden and hope grows thin. Number 8. 3 Days of the Condor, 1975. This film became known as a stylish yet unsettling thriller that mirrored public fears about secret agencies acting beyond oversight. To real intelligence veterans, it captured the terrifying truth that danger often comes not from foreign enemies, but from internal fractures where power operates without witness. The story follows a mild-mannered researcher who works for a quiet section of an intelligence agency. His team analyzes foreign books and newspapers, searching for hidden codes. One afternoon, the researcher returns from lunch to find his entire office wiped out. Forced to run, he uncovers a conspiracy buried deep within his own organization. The film transforms ordinary streets into hunting grounds and every stranger into a potential assassin. Controversy surrounded its release. Some claimed it exposed internal corruption. Others believed it fed public anxiety about surveillance. A few former officials suggested that certain plot elements resembled real scandals that had not yet fully emerged. Production faced struggles as rewrites continued even during filming. Actors spoke of long nights spent shaping scenes to maintain emotional tension. Studios feared that political backlash might hurt box office results, but the film gained traction precisely because it dared to question authority. Its legacy strengthened over time. The film resurfaced during debates about government reach and the ethics of intelligence work. Ex-agents acknowledged that while dramatized, its spirit reflected real concerns about unchecked power. The final moments remind viewers that truth often hides behind polished offices and friendly handshakes, waiting for the right pair of eyes to uncover its pulse. Number 7. Bridge of Spies, 2015. This modern Cold War drama earned widespread praise from real former operatives for its depiction of negotiation chess and moral courage. It avoided flashy gadgetry and instead focused on strategy, patience, and the quiet strength required in diplomacy under threat. The story follows an American lawyer named James Donovan who is appointed to defend a captured Soviet spy. Despite public fury, he insists on giving his client a fair trial, believing that justice must stand even in times of fear. As tensions rise, Donovan is thrust into a dangerous exchange mission in Berlin. The film uses fog-soaked bridges and silent checkpoints to build dread. Every step forward risks disaster. Controversy emerged when certain groups questioned the sympathetic portrayal of the Soviet agent. Others argued that classified details about intelligence exchanges were hinted at too clearly. A few critics accused the film of polishing history, though former agents countered that it captured the emotional truths of field negotiation. Behind the scenes, the director pushed for extreme historical accuracy. Sets were built to match the real Berlin Wall environment. Actors trained with historians and former operatives to understand the mindset of diplomatic intermediaries. The cast described the tone on set as somber, respectful, and heavy with historical weight. The film became an instant classic and resurfaced repeatedly in discussions about Cold War diplomacy. Real agents praised its portrayal of trust earned through courage rather than force. Its final message lingers. Sometimes the bravest acts are carried out not on battlefields, but on icy bridges where two sides stare into the void and choose humanity. Number 6. The Bourne Identity, 2002. Though often remembered as a modern action thriller, real former operatives respected this film for how it portrayed memory loss, psychological strain, and the brutal simplicity of covert operations. It showed espionage stripped of glamour, revealing a world where survival depends on instinct rather than high-tech equipment. The story opens with an injured man pulled from the sea with no identity. As he pieces together fragments of his past, he discovers he was once part of a covert program designed to create operatives capable of lethal precision. Now hunted by his own agency, he travels across Europe searching for answers. The film creates a constant sense of motion where streets, alleyways, and train stations become tactical arenas. Controversy surrounded the film when critics claimed it revealed too much about field tactics. Some government officials dismissed this, yet rumors spread that the writer had studied declassified materials. There were claims that certain fight sequences resembled real training routines, sparking debate about how much authenticity should appear in entertainment. Behind the scenes, production was turbulent. The script was reworked repeatedly. Shooting locations changed at the last minute. Actors trained extensively in martial arts and situational awareness. Despite the chaos, the final product felt tight, realistic, and grounded. Its legacy reshaped the spy genre. The film resurfaced during conversations about psychological conditioning and accountability within intelligence agencies. Real operatives admired how it illustrated the burden carried by those shaped for violence and then abandoned. Its final line echoes through the genre. A spy without memory becomes a mirror for the world that created him. Number 5. Munich, 2005. This film earned a reputation for its brutal honesty and willingness to confront the emotional devastation caused by covert retaliation. Former intelligence operatives respected its commitment to portraying the psychological erosion that follows agents who operate far outside the public eye. Rather than glorifying vengeance or tactical brilliance, the film exposes the inner fractures that form when violence becomes a mission without an end. The story follows a small covert team assembled after a devastating attack. Their purpose is simple, yet morally complex. Track down those responsible and eliminate them one by one. The mission takes them across Europe as they navigate safe houses, forgeries, and shifting alliances. Every step forward seems to cost a piece of their humanity. The film lingers on quiet moments between missions where nightmares and doubt creep into every breath. In doing so, it paints espionage as a slow unraveling rather than an adventure. Controversy erupted around the portrayal of historical events. Some groups argued the film was too sympathetic to one side, while others claimed it revealed uncomfortable truths. Governments debated whether the film crossed a line by dramatizing real covert operations. Rumors circulated that former agents consulted anonymously to ensure accuracy. Behind the scenes, the filmmakers faced emotional strain tackling such sensitive material. Actors described the set as heavy with sorrow. The score and cinematography were crafted to maintain a sense of irreversible descent. The legacy of the film continues to grow. Former operatives recognize the psychological realism and the moral weight carried by those asked to act in darkness. The final scenes remind viewers that the Cold War was not always fought between nations, but often within the souls of individuals torn between duty and conscience. Number 4. The Good Shepherd, 2006. This film quickly became known for its slow, meticulous approach to the birth of American intelligence work. Some viewers found it dense, others praised its depth. For real former agents, it offered a rare attempt to portray the emotional cost of building an intelligence empire from the ground up. It focuses on sacrifice, loyalty, and the quiet wars fought long before the public even knows conflict exists. The story follows Edward Wilson, a disciplined yet deeply isolated operative who dedicates his life to an agency destined to become central in global espionage. Through shifting eras, the film watches him navigate betrayal, hidden agendas, and the loss of nearly every personal connection that once gave him warmth. His journey is not loud or flashy. Instead, it is a chronicle of how secrecy becomes a cage from which even the strongest hearts cannot escape. Controversy surrounded the film due to its implication that early intelligence operations were influenced by internal paranoia and ideological rigidity. Some officials criticized its portrayal of recruitment methods and operational sacrifices. Others argued that it hinted at real historical tensions that institutions preferred to ignore. Production was complex. The narrative moved between multiple decades, requiring exacting attention to detail. Actors consulted historians and intelligence experts to understand the emotional distance required for the role. The director insisted on a restrained tone to emphasize the lonely brutality of the profession. The film resurfaced years later as new audiences discovered its quiet mastery. Former agents praised its portrayal of compartmentalization and emotional isolation. The final message lingers like a whisper. The cost of secrecy often becomes higher than the secrets themselves. Number 3. The Ipcress File, 1965. This British classic was celebrated for its grounded portrayal of counterintelligence work. There were no glamorous tuxedos, no impossible gadgets. Instead, it showcased paperwork surveillance monotony and the psychological strain placed on operatives asked to act without recognition. Former agents admired its down-to-earth depiction of a world built from routines rather than fireworks. The story follows Harry Palmer, a working-class intelligence officer tasked with investigating a series of kidnappings involving scientists. As Palmer digs deeper, he uncovers a sinister plot involving mind manipulation and betrayal within the intelligence community. Unlike many spy heroes, Palmer approaches danger with dry humor, suspicion, and pragmatism. His world is filled with dim hallways and quiet interrogations. Each revelation feels like a small crack in a system held together by fear. Controversy emerged when critics noticed how closely the film echoed rumored experiments involving psychological control. Some argued that the film revealed more about intelligence techniques than expected. Others believed it cast British agencies in too vulnerable a light. Behind the scenes, production faced tension between directors and producers over how gritty the tone should be. Sets were kept intentionally mundane to highlight realism. The crew experimented with unusual camera angles to create a sense of disorientation, mirroring the mental manipulation faced by the characters. The film became a cult classic, resurfacing repeatedly as younger audiences discovered its influence. Former operatives praised its grounded portrayal of counterintelligence work and the emotional weariness it carried. The final scene reminds viewers that in true espionage, victories often feel hollow, and survival carries its own shadows. Number 2. The Day of the Jackal, 1973. This film became a benchmark for procedural precision. Former agents often praised it for its methodical detail and the chilling accuracy with which it depicted the workflow of an elite assassin and the agencies determined to stop him. Rather than relying on spectacle, it focused on planning observation and the inevitable friction between bureaucracy and danger. The story follows a professional assassin hired to carry out a high profile. Political killing. Known only by his code name, the Jackal, he travels across Europe, creating false identities, gathering tools, and assembling a strategy with near-scientific discipline. Meanwhile, intelligence services race to uncover the plot. They interview informants, chase false leads, and scramble to decipher clues before time runs out. The film becomes a duel between method and counter-method. Controversy appeared almost immediately. Some governments objected to how faithfully the film portrayed identity forgery and weapon concealment. There were rumors that certain techniques reflected real case files. A few regions restricted screenings, fearing that the film might inspire dangerous imitators. Behind the scenes, the filmmakers insisted on accuracy. They conducted extensive research into law enforcement procedures and the logistical challenges faced by both sides. Actors trained to adopt the calm precision of professionals. The tone on set was described as intense, focused, and meticulous. The film resurfaced repeatedly over decades, gaining renewed admiration after real-world events mirrored its themes of infiltration and hidden threats. Former operatives praised it for capturing the relentless pressure that defines intelligence work. The final moments serve as a reminder that even the most perfect plan can be undone by a single unexpected truth. Number 1. The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977. Though often remembered as a stylish entry in a well-known franchise, this film earned unexpected respect from real former operatives for its portrayal of international cooperation under looming catastrophe. Beneath its playful surface lay a narrative about the delicate balance of alliances required during the Cold War. Former agents praised the film for weaving together tension, diplomacy, and conflicting ideologies with surprising clarity. The story follows a British agent and a Soviet operative forced to work together after submarines from both nations vanish under mysterious circumstances. Their uneasy partnership forms the core of the film. Through deserts, snowy mountains, and underwater fortresses, they pursue clues that lead to a figure determined to reshape global power. Beneath the adventure tone lies a powerful message about mistrust and necessity. Each nation stands ready for war, yet relies on the other to prevent it. Controversy swirled around the portrayal of cooperation between rival superpowers. Some critics argued the film painted too hopeful a picture. Others claimed it echoed real back-channel partnerships that governments preferred not to acknowledge. There were whispers that the submarine crisis depicted in the film resembled classified strategic tensions. Behind the scenes, production endured storms, financial strain, and technical challenges involving underwater photography. Actors described the scale as exhausting but exhilarating. The director demanded a balance between spectacle and emotional gravity, ensuring the partnership felt believable beneath the larger-than-life action. The film became a landmark in the franchise and resurfaced as analysts highlighted its subtle political messaging. Real former operatives respected how it suggested that even sworn enemies sometimes must trust each other to prevent catastrophe. In its final moments, the film reveals a truth that carried through the Cold War. Peace is often built by those who stand on opposite sides, yet choose restraint. The world of Cold War espionage was shaped by fear pressure and decisions made in silence, and these films capture that hidden battleground with chilling authenticity. Each story reminds us that truth often hides behind locked doors and coded phrases. Which of these films shocked you the most? Which one felt closest to reality? Share your thoughts and theories below. Like the video, subscribe for more deep dives, and join us as we uncover more forgotten stories from the shadows of history.